Good evening. Since 5 p.m., the board has been in closed session for the discussion of minutes lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act, whether for the purpose of school board approval of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by the Act. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees or legal counsel, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or legal counsel to determine its validity. Litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the school board has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the school board finds an action as probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting, and for collective negotiating matters between the school board and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. I will take a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second have been heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Cush.
Aye.
McMillan.
Aye.
Kelly Black.
Aye.
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Kosminski.
Aye.
Gerke.
Aye.
Wanke.
Aye.
The motion passes. We are in open session. Welcome to our May 20th, 2024 meeting. Our mission is to educate students to be self-directed learners, collaborative workers, complex thinkers, quality producers, and community contributors. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Board members present this evening: Christine Gerke, Kristen Fitzgerald, Charles Cush, Melissa Kelly Black, Joe Kosminski, Amanda McMillan, and Donna Wanke.
Please now join the board and our friends from Mill Street Elementary in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for hosting. These are our wonderful leaders, our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders from Mill Street. My name is Sue Solness, and I am their principal for a few more days at that building. I'm going to have our students introduce themselves to you, and then we will lead you in the pledge, and I believe we're facing that flag.
Hi, my name is Valentino Tyson.
Hi, my name is Habiba Nashima.
Hi, my name is Yamil Rivero.
Hello, my name is Ava Andrews.
Hi, my name is Raymond Kasmer.
Hi, my name is Paka Scholl.
Hi, my name is Harper Scacco.
Hi, my name is Shannon Carrico.
Ms. Carrico is our teacher leader for our student council. All right, here we go. Are you ready, everyone? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
We're going to have you stay right here for just a minute. We're going to move down just a little bit by Miss Solness. Perfect. Okay, Mrs. Xagas is going to take a picture of you really quick. And then to family, friends, or various paparazzi associated with the Mill Street gang, if you'd like to come up closer and get a picture, you may do so as well. You're welcome to come up front if you'd like. Okay, thank you, Mill Street friends. Have a great end of your school year.
We have now reached the point in our agenda for good news.
Okay, a couple good news items to share. This year, Naperville 203 was thrilled to honor 62 staff members who will retire this school year, along with 119 staff celebrating milestone years of 20 years or more. An extra special congratulations to Jerry McSwain, who celebrates 45 years with our transportation department. So congratulations to our retirees and those recognized. And then finally, the early childhood students at Ann Reed waddled their way through the Duckling Dash on Thursday, May 16th. This quacktastic event celebrates the end of the school year with lots of feathered fun. Our little ducklings are ready to flap their wings and splash their way to the finish line, making this a memorable and exciting event for all. You're welcome for that humor. Apparently not. Okay.
Next, we have the future problem solvers.
Back on. There we go. Mrs. Boutte, the assistant superintendent for middle schools, is going to assist me with this one.
Good evening. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce some of our middle school leaders. Future Problem Solving is a program which was started in 1940 by Dr. Paul E. Torrance to provide students with a competitive and non-competitive way to learn about the future. 8 teams from KJHS participated in the Global Issues Problem Solving competition on April 19th against close to 80 teams spanning the junior and middle division. Students research topics that have implications for the future. Our future problem-solving teams apply the 6-step process to 3 topics annually. A future scene or imagine future story prompts students to tackle social, scientific, political, economic, or technological issues. Teams explore challenges to the future as they refine their critical and creative thinking skills, select one problem area, produce unique solution ideas, and develop an action plan to resolve their specific problem. Students then present a 5-minute skit to sell their solution to an audience of their peers. The top 3 teams in each division across the state are invited to compete at the Future Problem Solvers Internationals in June. Kennedy will be sending 3 teams to internationals. So tonight we will ask that when your name is called that you come up to the front, and also the coach or sponsor is Miss Vicki Curlis. So we're thankful for her support and leadership as well. Okay. Our second place team was Parisi Puranam, Anaya Nagpal, and Claire McNulty. Our third place team was Dia Mattel, Asta Sabalia, and Sanyana Vinod. And our third place team in the middle level, grades 6 through 8, was Cassandra Chang, Alyssa Chang, and Ella Rubin. Congratulations. Families, you are welcome to come closer if you want to get a closer picture. Thank you.
Mrs. Xagas first. Awesome. Congratulations. We are so proud of all of you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great end to your school year. The next recognition we have, I'm going to invite Dr. Shayla Holland, the Assistant Superintendent for High Schools, up to help me present gifts. Tonight we're honoring and recognizing students who served as student board ambassadors. This year we invited 3 from each school to rotate their time through in order to ensure that we could get a variety of voice in input for the Board of Education, and tonight we're honored to recognize them. I will have Dr. Holland call them up by name, and I will present them with a gift. Yeah, some of them I know, it's a busy time of the school year, may not be here, but we will read them all.
First, Trenton Polk. Olivia Walters. Kimani Smith. Nina Mantel. Javier Sevilla. And Kim Ibarra.
And thank you for ensuring that the voice of our students is heard by the board and our community. We appreciate all that your leadership and you being here. I know all of you are heavily involved in a lot of things, so really appreciate you taking the time to be here to be recognized this evening. Great, thank you. Okay, next we will recognize the members of the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, who also have a report and an update to make this evening. So if we can bring that presentation up, I'm going to kick it off for us. Okay, so one of the highlights of the year, and for the last 2 years to be honest with you, has been my engagement with the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council. The council includes a diverse group of students from our junior high schools, and connections. Our council members are insightful and inspiring and have consistently pushed my thinking and perspective regarding ways that I can support their sense of belonging and belonging for their peers. Launched during the 2022-2023 school year, the Superintendent Student Advisory Council is a vehicle for me and others to listen and learn about the experiences of our students in the district and to better position them for success. I continue to learn from them, and I'm very grateful for their willingness to show up authentically every time we meet. I've been grateful to partner with our Outreach and Student Belonging Directors, Dr. Danielle Lusby and Dr. Sandra Russell-Smith, to facilitate the council. Their work has also been supported by Dr. Shayla Holland and Ms. Allison Boutte, who are our high school and junior high school assistant superintendents. Tonight, you'll be provided with an overview of the council's work this year and hear from council members about their experience. While you will hear from a representative group of council members tonight, I'd like to acknowledge and celebrate all of the council members who are here with us tonight, taking up our first row. So would you please stand so that you could be acknowledged? Thank you. You can have a seat now. As a continuation of our inaugural year, we maintained our focus on student belonging. Through all of our efforts in the district, it's important for students to know that they matter to us and that this is not something that should be felt occasionally, but that should be experienced every single day by every single student. Each session had a specific focus. Sessions included council collaboration, guest speakers, panel discussions, and thoughtful experiences designed to allow for student learning, student voice, and student engagement. Some of the topics included perception and projection, developing a positive self-identity, implicit bias, and student mental health. Dr. Lusby will provide a brief overview of the progression of the council's goals.
Thank you all for having me here, and specifically thank you to our Superintendent Student Advisory Council for your work. This year, students began reviewing and reflecting on their 2022-23 recommendations that were submitted to the board regarding 4 areas of focus that you see there: student voice, student learning, student supports, student relationship, and engagement. This year, we used these 4 areas to curate specific sessions with the intent to deepen the council members' knowledge and understanding of the details and the context of each area. They started out by interviewing their principals to ensure that their recommendations received actionable and practical steps in their respective buildings. And they took their principal interview questions, or responses rather, and used those to develop goals to continue to move the work forward for our coming year. Students had the opportunity to work with a neurolinguistic professional to understand the connection between brain and empathic communication, as it regarded more of their work with Dr. Leeks, who led them on more understanding of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how the lack thereof can truly impact an individual in their district, or in this district, as well as a whole. From there, we began to do work around mental health and the impact that the lack of belonging can create. They had the chance to sit with a board of mental health professionals to create a better understanding of the mental health resources we not only have in the district, but in the community as well. From there, they developed 4 goals to continue to move their recommendations forward. I'll give you all the chance to review those. Based on these goals, we plan to use this work to move the recommendations forward, and we will continue to create sessions that highlight their understanding, as well as give them the skills and the tools to move the work forward. I can say personally that of all the components of my job capacity, this is surely my favorite, and I enjoy working with these students and seeing their growth, as well as partnering with Dr. Russell Smith to really get them to broaden their understanding, as well as impact not only their buildings, but our district. So if you all would please give them a hand again, we'll move on to our student reflections. Thank you. This video that you will see is a collaboration, or a combination of all of our, some of our pictures that we had, as well as the student reflections. Last year, I know we had several of them speak. This year, because we had more groundwork that had been covered from last year, we gave each of them the opportunity to record some of their own impact. So please enjoy.
The SSAC means a lot to me because I consider myself an advocate, and I like to advocate for my peers, my staff members, just everybody at the school. So I feel like it, it makes me a better person.
My favorite part from this SSAC school year was probably just meeting a lot of new people and knowing where their experience, their point of view, and the connections you can make here.
Honestly, really, SSAC is just the best thing that I'm looking forward to on Fridays. Everything is just so accepting. You walk in the door and everyone's happy Friday.
And my favorite part about the SSAC school year this year was how everybody had a voice and everybody was able to share their thoughts and how they thought we could do better or things.
SSAC means inclusion of student voice, self-advocacy, and diversity. SSAC taught me strategies to reduce stress and help my mental health pertaining to school and outside of school.
SSAC has really opened my eyes on what measures people take in the district to let students and educators feel included in the district.
SSAC means to me a great environment and something where I can learn new things.
To me, SSAC is like a little family. I think we're all really close, and it gives me an opportunity to really share how I feel about what's going on in my building and feel acknowledged and appreciated.
Yeah, you belong in this community, and you have every right to be here as of everyone else, and you can make an impact wherever you go.
I guess being able to hear other people's stories in relation to their mental health or their experiences just being in school.
Most impactful for me was meeting with the mental health board, listening to their experiences, and seeing how we can improve students' experiences in District 203.
The impact that SSAC has had on my life is probably all the great people that are a part of the board, the students and the staff. As Dr. Lesby always says, we're kind of like a big family because some of us have been together for 2 years and some of us have been together for 1, but it's just been really meaningful to have a group that you can come and talk to.
The most impactful thing for me is knowing that I'm able to speak about experiences that I've had in the school district so I can help make it more inclusive and a better place for the younger generation.
What's been most impactful for me is the speakers that we had, especially the mental health speaker. Just to know that you have a community that is supporting you and that there's people that can help you has just been really, really changing.
For me, I'd say the most impactful thing would be hearing the opinions of people older and wiser than me. Knowing that I'm only a 6th grader, I have so much to learn from people who are older than me and have had more experiences and things that they can learn and that I can learn from them.
And my favorite part of this year's SSAC is the inclusion that they are giving us and how everyone has a voice.
I've learned so much from my experiences. I absolutely enjoy being able to connect with students from not just the high school I came from, but also other schools in the district. It has been very eye-opening to be able to hear other students' stories and how similar or how different they are from mine. I liked being able to talk about mental health in my experiences. I feel safe and respected, and school was always hard for me, so having an experience where I can actually enjoy school now is something I never thought I'd be able to have. So I'm very grateful for both Connections and SSAC.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Sandra Russell Smith. I am Dr. Danielle Lesby's partner in crime. And to quote one of my favorite songs, I have had the time of my life working with this group of students behind me. The The willingness to be vulnerable, especially when you're a middle schooler, is tough. The willingness to speak your mind and their willingness to just put it all out there, to be able to have an audience with their superintendent. I am thrilled to just be a part of this organization. I want you guys to give them one more round of applause because they have worked so hard these past 2 years. I feel like a proud mom. We were supposed to have senior reflections this evening, but somehow our seniors are not here. And so in talking to them earlier, they just expressed their gratitude for being able to have a voice as seniors who are leaving the district, and they are hoping to leave a legacy for their peers to be able to follow, and to make sure that every student who comes through this wonderful district and who comes to work with us through SSAC definitely has a voice and knows that their voice matters. So right now, I would like to call up our students individually to recognize them for all the work that they've done. So students, when you hear your names, please come up, grab your certificates, and you can make your way up to the podium. Corelli Rivero. Okay. Liam Allen Wagner. Alia Sedkowski. Catherine Mullen. Jaitra Shriram. Tanner DeMalik, who is not here this evening. Maddie Fordyce, who is not here this evening. Anushka Anand. Grayson Sabo. Ashley Wolf. Rohan Grover. Zion Khan. Ava Douglas. Calvin Moyer. Spencer Brignac. Khadijah Rafathullah. Kimani Smith. Paige Kraus. Hadley Benson. Our students who aren't able to join us tonight are Maddie Gates, River Larez, Andrew Hebron, and Rachel Hogue. Please give them a round of applause too. Parents, you're welcome to come and take pictures of your amazing students.
So at this time, we'd be happy to address a couple questions or any comments from members of the board.
Do any board members have questions or comments?
And I will say for the community that we do invite members of the Board of Education to rotate visits to the SSAC meetings. Due to Open Meetings Act limitations, we don't have more than 2 there at a time. Otherwise, we have to go through a whole process of a public meeting. But it is an opportunity for the board to be able to hear firsthand also. And I think they would all say how much they've enjoyed the time that they do get to spend there.
Donna, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Student voice is something that the school board has talked about for a while, and we're super excited that your voice was heard with our superintendent. And I believe our principals of the junior high and high schools now have principal advisory committees as well because of the work that you did last year and then into this year. So thank you for that, and thank you for your presentation and the time that and the commitment that you gave to this group. The 4 goals that you gave us were the goals that they set at the beginning of the school year, or are they the goals that they set for next year? That's what I was.
The goals that they set for next year. So as you mentioned,
Okay.
they took their goals from last year and they had those conversations with the principals at the Principal Advisory Council level to ensure actionable steps in their respective buildings. Okay. From there, we deepened their knowledge about those specific areas of focus, and then they created goals to continue to move those recommendations forward.
Okay. So were there goals that they worked on this year to the expansion down to the principals' advisory boards?
Correct.
That's right. Okay, I'm just trying to remember. It was a year ago, sorry.
No worries.
So, all right, and we've definitely seen that happen, so thank you for that. I didn't realize, now that you're telling me, I remember the goals from last year were to move that down 2 levels, so. So thank you for all of your work, and I'm excited to see how, are most of them coming back onto the advisory council next year?
Yes, we rotate them up except for our 5th grader, our rising 5th grader, who will be joining will be a new recommendation for us. But
All right.
everyone else continues to serve unless they are too busy with their schooling and have something else to do.
Sure. Well, I look forward to the progress and the reporting back on the goals that you set for this year, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Melissa?
Well, first off, thank you so much for all the work you've done and the input. I have a couple of questions. First one would be, how are they selected?
Their principals do the selection process. So we talked with principals about the SSAC objective, and we asked them to submit their recommendations based on our objectives for the group.
I'm going to add to that. So additionally, we go through a process of, we want to make sure that we are amplifying student voice. There are a lot of student groups in our buildings, and so we specifically ask for a diverse group of students with a variety of experiences. As you know, principals, assistant principals, and other building staff members work with students in a variety of ways. And sometimes, as we know, students come to us and have a lot to share. We ask principals to think about students who have come to you and have specifically named areas for growth and improvement in our district, or who really have a knack for advocacy and want a platform, or that you see as possibly an aspiring leader. And so we do give principals and leaders criteria to consider as they're thinking about students to be on the committee.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. I do see a lot of future leaders here. My next comment was that, well, I guess it's a question. My comment was, the one time I was able to attend, it was so good. So I wondered, as a board member, it would be also nice, I know that there's rules that we can't attend each one, but is there any way it could be recorded or something that we could hear so we also get to hear that student voice throughout the year? Or it's just something to consider?
I think we can explore an idea of some sort of capturing of the event. I want to be respectful of our council members who do have a great sense of comfort to be themselves and to be open and not feel like that they're being put in too big of a spotlight in the fishbowl.
Definitely.
But I do think perhaps I can work with our 2 outreach and student belonging directors on capturing it in a different way a little bit more often for the board.
Oh, that'd be great. And I appreciate that, I don't need to see it if it compromises our students feeling comfortable and being able to participate on the level that they can to help us. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Charles?
So first of all, thank you. Big thank you to Dr. Leslie and Dr. Smith for your leadership on this. I also had the opportunity to attend one of the sessions, and it was the environment that you've created for the students to be able to share openly. It was just phenomenal, some of the things that they were bringing up. So kudos to you both for that. Also to the students, really thank you all for stepping up and stepping out and being able to share your perspectives and the candor and your willingness to share your voice. I'm excited about the leadership that you guys are all displaying already, and excited about the things that are to come in the future and the results that will come from all the work that you did. So you guys should all be very proud of the work that you've done. The leadership you're exhibiting is just extraordinary. So you should all be proud of yourselves, and I know all the folks sitting behind you, your parents are proud of you as well. So thank you for that. The question I have is, was there anything surprising that, you kind of go into a situation like this with some kind of, okay, we expect to hear a little of this or a little of that. What was the biggest surprise that you found in the work? And that could either come from the students or from either of the two of you.
Big surprise?
Hi, I'm Kimani Smith. I'm a junior at Naperville Central, and it's my second year at SSAC. And I think I would just say the most surprising thing working in the group is definitely hearing how much of an impact mental health and emotions and feelings and social emotional learning, how that impacts our education. I feel like going into it last year, I expected a lot more of complaints about education and lesson planning and feeling overwhelmed with work, but it happens to be that a lot more were expressing that we feel unrecognized, unappreciated by staff or teachers, and there's a lot that goes into it in the emotional side, and that obviously drove a lot of our goals, and I was just surprised by that.
I'm Spencer Brignac. I'm a freshman at Central this year, and I think the most surprising thing I found with SSAC was at the first meeting when we all walked in. I was in a pink shirt. It was a Friday. We had just gotten off the bus, and it was a big open arm hug. Happy Friday, and I think I mentioned that in the video too. But the environment, I thought it was going to be like this. I thought it was going to be a board meeting where we all had little microphones and all sorts of stuff. Completely. But about a week before our first meeting, I sat down with our principal, Mrs. Thornton, along with the 3 existing SSAC members, and they told me not to wear a suit. And I thought that was really nice. But yeah, like I said, I thought it was going to be like this. But we all sat down on couches and bean bags and all sorts of stuff and just had a great time as, like Kamani said, a family. So that was my most surprising thing.
Hi, my name is Kel Moyer. I'm in 8th grade at Washington Junior High School, and I had similar ideas to Spencer. I expected that it was gonna be similar to this, just really serious, but when I got there, it was just really not as serious as I thought it was gonna be. I mean, serious work, but it just felt like we were like a family and everybody just belonged.
One of my biggest surprises was the students' candor. This is my first year in Naperville School District 203, and I came from an elementary district. And so in working with these junior high and high school students, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. Their willingness to be brave in front of what started out to be complete strangers, their willingness to speak their truths, and their willingness to go the extra mile if somebody needed an extra hand was mind-blowing, because people say, oh, teenagers these days. And I have one at home, so I know of what they speak. However, working with this group of students has given me hope that there's a light. There's a light in our buildings that is shining, and these students are definitely are definitely leading the way and shining that light and making sure that every student voice gets heard, making sure that every student feels like they belong, and making sure that every student feels like they have a place here, because that's super important to them, and they are on the leading charge of making that happen.
I will share the most surprising thing for me is the students' care for the adults in their building. All of their goals were not just student-centered. Their goals embraced the thoughtfulness, it embraced the circumstances that they are familiar with the adults in their building, and they wanted to include work that also supported the adults. I thought that was, it was not only surprising, but it was very heartwarming to really understand that they see the adults in their building not just as titles, but as people, and the same belonging that they are desiring for themselves, they are desiring for their staff as well. And that was very surprising for me. Thank you for your question.
Go ahead, Charles. You're good. Okay.
I was just going to say thank you for that. That was incredible. The video was great, but that really brought a lot of extra perspective to it. So again, to the students, thank you for your leadership. If our community looks like this in the future, especially with these young folks showing care and concern for the adults in their building, then it gives me hope as well that our future is in good hands. So thank you all for that.
Kristen?
Thank you so much for the report, and to each of the students. We are so excited to get your report because this is something we've been waiting for. This was something we talked about for many years, and seeing it come into fruition last year and this year has been so rewarding. And it's funny that Charles asked about the surprises. Even as a board member, I was surprised listening to all of you, and I wanted to compliment you on your care for the adults. That is not something that I expected to come from this. I could tell that you were advocates. Somebody in the video said, you know, I think of myself as an advocate. I could tell that, but I didn't expect that you would advocate so much for the adults as well as your peers. So that's something that is so wonderful, that you are able to look beyond not even just the students, looking at the adults as well. And I see that in your recommendations. The other thing that I can see, besides the clear shining through of the importance of mental health, which really shines through the video, shines through the goals, but your goals, I think, globally represent what you all have done in the council. So like looking through and characterizing those goals, they talk about relationships, they talk about conversations, they talk about community connections, and they talk about like the extracurricular, this activity being outside of the school. And I'm so excited because what I'm hoping from those goals is that those things that you all have experienced in your superintendent student advisory council will be the kinds of things that your peers will gain from these goals. So I really compliment you, because the things that you're talking about that you felt were valuable, I think that you've displayed that in your goals. I think you did a really good job of making those types of benchmarks the kinds of things that we should see, we hope to see, when we next year report on how this went for the rest of your peers. So thank you for that. I really compliment you on your goals, and thank you for your hard work and the authenticity that you brought to it, that I think will really have results for both the students and the adults.
Thank you.
Donna?
I'm glad you said that was your biggest surprise, because my question that I actually sent that I didn't ask at first was, were the goals for were the goals set by the students? And then I said, how did they arrive at a goal for staff professional development? I was, you know, that was surprising to me too. And so I commend you, students and the staff that worked with them, and our superintendent, for the work that you did, because you very often at a young age, you think a lot about what affects you immediately, and to think beyond that is really great leadership. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So just one last comment. First of all, I'm happy to watch this continue to blossom, especially knowing now there's building level engagement that came from last year. But to the students, Mrs. Fitzgerald touched on it a bit. Your compassion, the honesty, your candor, all of that you brought, and your collaboration, that all comes together in advocacy. And so you're taking really big steps towards leadership, and even if you're a quieter student or you're someone who's a little bit more outgoing, having the heart of an advocate is going to naturally draw people to you, and you're going to have a very important voice. And just use that compassion that you have, and take people with you, and hold their hands. And sometimes they're going to want to hold your hand, but you're going to take amazing steps out there, and don't let that go. I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, but as Mr. Cush said, you're certainly very bright lights, and let them shine, and bring people into that light, and show them the way, and you're gonna carry this community really far, and we're grateful for that, and we're grateful for the adults that are leading this work. So thank you.
So if I could, in closing, thank Dr. Lusby, Dr. Russell Smith for your leadership and work with our kids, and express my deep gratitude to every one of you sitting here in the front row. Look forward to next year. Look forward to getting back together. Those, as has been said, those are my favorite days of the year, for sure. And I'm looking forward to those next year as well. And in respect for your mental health, I want to make sure those of you in high school who have finals tomorrow have some time to go home and review. So please do not feel as though you need to remain. You are welcome to, of course. But thank you so much for the time that you've given us this evening. And more importantly, thank you for the gift that you've given us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Should say,
Okay, we have now reached the point in our agenda for public comment. The Board of Education welcomes comments from the public at its meetings. Citizens who wish to address the Board of Education should identify themselves by name. Comments by individuals shall be limited to 3 minutes. If the individual is representing multiple individuals or a group, they shall be allowed to speak for 5 minutes. As I call an individual for public comment, I will also designate the next speaker so that they have appropriate time to prepare. In accordance with board policy, issues raised in public comment will be taken under advisement by the Board of Education, but will not be discussed this evening. Issues raised during public participation may be added to future agendas or addressed by administrative staff. Because the questions raised in public comment address district operational matters, the superintendent is the board's designee to coordinate response to public comment and will apprise the board accordingly. At this point, I would like to welcome Ross Berkeley, representing the IEA Region 39. He will be followed by Rob Hunt, representing IEA Region 39.
Hi, good evening, Board of Education. My name is Ross Berkeley, and tonight I am representing IEA Region 39 as a council member. As Board Policy 2.230 is silent on yielding of time and in a mutual effort to maintain decorum in meetings, I would ask to yield my time to IEA Region 39 Chair Rob Hunt.
Good evening, members of the school board, Mr. Bridges, members of the cabinet, esteemed colleagues and community members. My name is Rob Hunt. I'm here speaking as chair of the Illinois Education Association's Region 39 on behalf of the Region Council, and as such, ask for 5 minutes of your time. Region 39 is made up of all 4 bargaining units for District 203, including NESPA, the Naperville Education Support Professionals Association. Tonight, I will emphasize the indispensable role of ESPs in our schools. It is crucial that we recognize, honor, and value the contributions of our roughly 450 classroom assistants, aides, secretaries, health technicians, and other education support professionals. First and foremost, our ESPs are the backbone of our educational system here in 203 and are crucial in helping us live our mission. They are often the first faces our students see when they enter the school building and the last ones they see when they leave. Their roles are pivotal to the smooth operation and success of our schools. Without them, our schools simply would not function. School secretaries are NESPA members. They are the linchpins of our administrative framework. They manage the daily operations of our schools with efficiency and grace and incredible patience. From coordinating schedules to handling communications with parents and staff, their organizational skills keep our buildings running smoothly. They are often the first point of contact for parents and the community, embodying the welcoming spirit and professionalism of District 203. Their role in fostering a positive school climate and ensuring effective communication cannot be overstated. Health technicians are NESPA members. They play a critical role in safeguarding the well-being of our students. They manage health records, administer important medications, and provide care for students with medical needs in times of emergency. Their prompt response and expertise can and has been life-saving. Particularly in the current context where health and safety are paramount, the role of health technicians has never been more vital. They ensure that our schools are not just places of learning, but safe havens for our children. Classroom assistants are NESPA members. They provide crucial support to teachers, myself included, by enabling more personalized attention for students and enhancing the learning environment. They provide one-on-one support to students who need extra help, manage small group activities, and provide nurturing and support for our learners. Classroom assistants amplify the impact of our educators, ensuring that every child receives the attention and support they deserve. Kathy is a NESPA member who works in my classroom. She is one of the most kind, patient, and generous people I know. And I didn't know she was going to be here tonight, so this is extra special. I get to read this in front of her. She's a lawyer, but she chooses to work with our most vulnerable students. Every day she adds joy and knowledge to the lives of her students. Just today in the hallway during passing period, Kathy pulled a student aside in the hallway and heaped compliments on the student for how wonderfully she participated in a group discussion. The student just absolutely glowed with pride and happiness with this compliment. Outside of her working hours, Kathy attends every GSA meeting at Lincoln Junior High because she knows how LGBTQ student struggles are unique and that her support is beneficial for this population. Kathy is a true 203 treasure. I think that could be a tagline, true 203 treasures, who is instrumental in building a passion for lifelong learning with every student with whom she works. The value of ESPs extends well beyond their specific duties. They build vital connections with students, offering emotional, behavioral, and academic support that enriches the school experience. They are mentors and role models, fostering a nurturing and inclusive environment. Their commitment and dedication help create a school culture where every single student feels valued and feels supported. Investing in and rewarding these valuable ESPs is an economically sound decision with the district. ESPs help maximize the efficiency and the effectiveness of our educational resources. This, in turn, leads to better educational outcomes for our students, which is the ultimate goal of our educational system. In conclusion, the negotiation of a fair and supportive contract for our educational support professionals is not just a matter of fairness. It's a matter of recognizing their profound impact on our schools and on every student in District 203. They're integral to our mission of providing high-quality education and ensuring the well-being of our students. I urge the board to recognize the irreplaceable value that NESPA members like Kathy and so many others bring to our educational community and to support them with the respect and compensation they rightfully deserve. Thank you.
On behalf of the Board of Education, thank you for your comments. I would like to welcome Phoebe Connor next.
Good evening. My name is Phoebe Connor, and I'm a learning behavior specialist within the Multi-Needs program, as well as a sponsor of Best Buddies Club and BSLA at Naperville North High School, finishing my 10th year as an educator, all 10 of those years within District 203. I am here today because of the loyalty I have to the school district and the amazing students and staff that I work with. I spoke in support of a significant increase in paraprofessional pay at a board meeting during the last NESPA negotiations, as these poverty wages were directly negatively impacting our students with disabilities, especially those with severe and profound disabilities. However, it is very disheartening for me to stand up here today and say that I could say the same speech verbatim and it would still apply, as supports for our students have only gotten worse due to the lack of response of this board. Simply put, I cannot fulfill my job and responsibilities as a special educator to its fullest extent without adequate paraprofessional support. My students in our multi-needs program can never be left unsupervised in order to ensure their safety, and they require a lot of structure throughout their day. They get dropped off by the buses between 6:55 and 7:05 at Naperville North every day, and my staff immediately gets to work unloading students from the bus, helping them put their materials away, changing students in the bathroom, supporting morning hygiene routines, and setting up morning leisure activities. They then do not stop assisting teachers and students until my students leave sometime between 3:30 and 3:45 p.m. Throughout the day, paraprofessionals escort students class to class, bathroom students, support them through hygiene and independent living routines, run small group and one-on-one instruction, take data on behaviors and IEP goals, adapt materials for teachers, read assessments, organize classrooms, feed students, ride the bus, ensure student safety in the community, train peer helpers, deal with physical student behavior, and heavily communicate with case managers and related service providers. Many paras also support our students after school in their extracurricular events like Best Buddies and Special Olympics. Their job is both physically and mentally taxing, and their current pay is in no way reflective of the work that they do day in and day out to ensure our students' success. When I first started working in our district, we were able to assess paraprofessional strengths and place them in special education programs, either our specialized programs, instructional programs, or resource co-taught programs where they would best thrive. However, for the last 5 years or so, we have not been able to do this. Currently, our specialized programs at North are supported by every paraprofessional our department has, except for one, as we have several unfilled support staff positions. This means majority of our instructional and co-taught classes have 0 paraprofessional support, when in the past, every self-contained classroom had at least one aide. It is unacceptable that classrooms made up of all students with IEPs have no consistent extra staff support. We as a district are failing our students. Our students and our families deserve better. Our teachers and related service staff.
Time.
Thank you.
On behalf of the board, thank you for your comments. I do not have any more slips. Does anyone wish to address the Board of Education?
Good evening. My name is Amy Vogelsang, and I am an EL teacher at Naperville North High School. Tonight, I would like to speak in support of my NESPA colleagues and also just publicly express my gratitude to them. As Rob Hunt so eloquently stated, without these dedicated professionals, our schools could not function. The first people who greet me in the morning at the doors are NESPA employees. The financial secretary who makes sure that my kids have access to food and to opportunities like field trips is a NESPA employee. In the Learning Commons, my students feel safe, welcome, and seen by NESPA employees who take the time to get to know them, to speak to them, to make them feel like they are an important part of our school community. The testing center that helps us to address missing assessments from student absences is run by a NESPA employee. And the department secretaries who make sure that our students are safe and supervised when there are double-digit unfilled sub-positions are NESPA employees. I also have to speak to some who are particularly near and dear to my heart, our EL program assistants. They work with our students to make sure that they can safely and happily navigate our schools. They make content accessible to students, and all of them work well beyond the bounds of their contracts, whether that be sponsoring a club without a stipend for years, just out of passion and wanting students to have a space to express their culture and to be together, whether that be running intervention groups, because several of our NESPA employees are also certified educators. They just aren't paid as such. And in my own classroom, just seeing the way that they help students feel engaged and capable is incredible. So I hope that in the way that they are treated in our schools and in my interactions with them, that I am able to express my gratitude for all that they do. And I hope that the next contract also expresses respect and shows how much they are truly valued and essential to the functioning of our schools. Thank you.
On behalf of the whole Board of Education, thank you for your comments. As a reminder, because the questions raised in public comment address district operational matters, the board has designated our superintendent as the spokesperson for the district as our designee to respond to public comment, and he will apprise the Board of Education accordingly. This will conclude our public comment period. Item 6, monthly reports. The monthly reports are loaded for review in board docs. Item 7, action by consent. We have reached the business portion of our meeting. As a reminder to the community, the board understands and has affirmed through our board agreements that it is each individual member's responsibility to prepare for each meeting. Additionally, we understand that it is our individual responsibility to effectively communicate our concerns either to the superintendent or board president prior to any meeting in a timely manner. Board members have also agreed that avoiding no surprises is paramount in displaying respect for all district administration and the community. In the spirit of no surprises, the board has tasked itself to send questions in advance of each meeting to the superintendent. This practice allows the superintendent to provide the best possible answer for the community. Additionally, it allows for maximum efficiency during the community's meeting. Those same submitted questions may also be asked in open session along with new ones that may arise during discussions. In the spirit of transparency, when asking a question, please identify if you sent it ahead. Mr. Bridges, did you receive questions from board members in advance of tonight's meeting?
I did.
From how many board members, please?
5.
Okay. Item 7, action by consent. Charles?
All right. I had the pleasure of doing bills and claims this cycle. And as usual, I'd like to thank Michelle Swope, who, as usual, did a great job of kind of providing the detail, answering all of my questions, and creating, a good understanding of everything that was going through. So I appreciate her patience and her diligence, as always. And so with that, I move approval of warrant number.
Charles, 1 second. I'm sorry, Melissa.
If we could pull 7.02.
Yes. Yes, okay.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I
Sorry,
knew that.
go ahead.
Okay. All right, so I will pull 7.02, but so with that, I move approval of warrant number 1059311 through warrant number 90000000074, totaling $26,010,599.29 for the period of April 16th, 2024 to May 20th, 2024. And items number 7.03 and 7.04 on the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second have been heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Kosminski.
Aye.
Cush.
Aye.
Wanke.
Aye.
McMillan.
Aye.
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Kelly Black.
Aye.
Gerke.
Aye. The motion passes. Okay, item 7.02, the adoption of the personnel report. Melissa?
Yes, I asked for it to be pulled. I did express serious concerns about one candidate, but otherwise I want to let you know that I'm extremely happy with the people coming on board and the changes we're making. And thank you for those people that are moving on for what you did for our community. Thank you.
I will take a motion for item 7.02.
I move approval of item 7.02 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second have been heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Wanke?
Aye.
Gerke?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
McMillan?
Aye.
Cush?
Aye.
Kosminski?
Aye.
Kelly Black?
Nay.
The motion passes.
Okay, with that, I would like to make some introductions of some of our new leaders here in the district. And so when I say your name, if you'd just please stand and give a wave to the board and the community, I'd appreciate it. We'll start with Kristen Capriola, who affectionately goes by the name by Cap. So Cap, congratulations. The board's action this evening approved Kristen as the next principal at Lincoln Junior High School. She currently is assistant principal at Lincoln Junior High School and has experience in another district as an assistant principal as well. Welcome. In addition to my excitement for Cap's leadership at Lincoln, I am thrilled with our new members of Cabinet who will be replacing some amazing people in the coming year. And so I'd like to introduce those to you. Three of them are with us tonight. One of them, who I'll introduce first, is unable to be with us tonight as the elementary school where she is currently a principal has an event this evening. So, and that would be Katie Matthews. Katie is currently a principal at Grove Avenue Elementary in Barrington, and prior to that was a principal in Woodridge, has experience as an assistant principal, and Katie Matthews will assume the role of Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Education. I look forward to introducing her to you at a future time. Super excited for this next candidate for her next opportunity in her career and journey, and that's Melissa McHenry. Missy, would you please stand? The board's action this evening approves Missy as our next Assistant Superintendent for Student Services. She's currently a Director of Student Services here in Naperville, and I believe your entire career has been at Naperville 203. So congratulations, welcome to Cabinet. Next, I'd like to introduce Dr. Meredith Higgins. Meredith, could you stand? Meredith will become the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. I think you might want to kind of sit around those people that are over there, right? Get to know, right? So Meredith, Dr. Higgins is currently the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources in Marquardt School District. She also has experience as a principal in the middle school also, and an assistant principal. Welcome, Dr. Higgins. And then finally, Dr. Mark Cohen. Mark, if you'd please stand. The board's action this evening approved Mark as the Deputy Superintendent who will also oversee our high schools. Mark is currently the Superintendent in Mokina School District 158, has been an Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and a high school principal in Lincoln Way, and we're proud to have Mark join our team, and I'm very excited for all of the new Cabinet members to be here and grateful for those that served before them. So thank you for being here this evening. We look forward to being on the team.
Item 8, communications. Item 8.01, written communications are loaded for review. Item 8.02, the superintendent staff school report.
And no additional reports.
Item 8.03, the president's report. I do not have a report tonight. Item 8.04, Board of Education reports. Does anyone wish to give a brief update on something they have done in their official capacity as a board member? Amanda?
Thank you. As NEF representative, I just wanted to thank Wendy and her whole team and all the NEF trustees for hosting and facilitating a really successful NEF breakfast. The outcome was very similar to previous events, but we did have more people and more new people that engaged this time and donated for the first time, which is really exciting to see some refurbishment of engagement into NEF. And it was really inspirational to be at the event and hear from Naperville alumni who is now just super smart. And also to have the students, current students, interview with them and stuff. So that was really great. We're wrapping up this year. We have one more meeting for this current board. Then we're going to be honoring some new trustees and then kicking off the next year strong with our NEF race in October. So it's time to start signing up for that already. So thank you, and it's been an honor to serve.
Thanks for being our rep there, Amanda, for this year and then last year also. And then Donna, you're also, so, right? Thanks for both being there early in the mornings. Any other, Kristen?
Just a quick report. This morning was the quarterly conference call with the Illinois Association of School Boards collaboration with ISB, with a couple of different board members, and our sort of our quarterly meeting to check in with State Superintendent Tony Sanders. Our discussion today focused primarily on the SAT, ACT change, as well as working on the new proficiency targets. It's just a compliment to ISB that they continue to keep that close relationship with Tony Sanders at ISB. Those calls began during the pandemic, but they've become a quarterly call, continuing into the future. I think it's a really positive opportunity for our state superintendent just to hear from board members.
Thank you for being on that call for us. Any other, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, I was able to visit 2 of my adopted schools since the last board meeting, and I really appreciate the opportunity to go around to those schools with the superintendent and get tours of the schools, get to talk to staff, to home and school members, to students. I was at BB Elementary and Naperville Central. We got to hear from one of the principal's advisory members at Naperville Central, which was really great. So another opportunity for student voice. And I'm looking forward to my visit to Maplebrook tomorrow.
Thank you. Any other reports? Melissa?
Hi, I was able to do 2 more school visits, and I happen to have a visit here. So I think the Principal Gaskin, you're here. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to go through and see the teachers and the students in action. So I appreciate these opportunities. I also enjoy hearing about what are the needs, what's working, what's not working, where are the strengths, because we can share these good ideas. You have great ideas in a building, let's get them out to the other buildings. So thank you again for allowing me to come and see your school and meet your staff and your students, and you always can call them out by name, so I'm always impressed. I also was able to go to Highland School, so it was nice. I forgot your name. You were there, and it was a wonderful visit. Same thing, sorry. I should be better with names. But I want to say thank you, because I know that some of the staff, it was Teacher Appreciation Week. And so it was nice to be able to kind of go in and thank you guys personally. And again, to see the good work that you're doing, and the building is beautiful. I did see them at lunch, which is a nice, different opportunity to see them. And the classrooms, and then Mrs. Wright, it was both my boys had her, so I was able to see her. She's your reading specialist, I believe, or math specialist now. So again, thank you for making these visits, so informative, and it's really rewarding. Thank you.
Any other board reports? Okay. Item 9, discussion without action. As a reminder to all board members, I will recognize each individual to ask questions or comments. As per our board agreements, we share time with other members. And please remember to identify a question. Please identify if you sent a question ahead. After each person has had a turn, we will go back around if necessary. And please remember, it is not in order to interject unless you've been recognized. Item 9.01, the 2024-2025 Budget Workshop.
Okay, at the May 6th Board of Education meeting, the administration presented a draft tentative budget to the board for its initial review. Our timeline is like this. Today is a budget workshop opportunity for questions and discussion between administration and the board. Also have a workshop on Monday, June 3rd. And then finally, on June 17th, we'll have a public hearing, also a public hearing on an amended budget. We'll have opportunity for discussion and then request action by the Board of Education at the June 17th meeting. Also share with you that on May 7th, The Citizens Finance Advisors met with myself and Mike Francis, the Chief Financial Officer. Kristen Fitzgerald was a board liaison who was able to attend that meeting. We had good attendance among the advisors, and generally overall, I would say very supportive of the budget that has been presented, also very supportive of action steps that the board has taken specifically based off of input and feedback from them previously, such as using some of the fund balance for facility needs across the district. So they did appreciate hearing that had been done, and overall feel that from a financial standpoint, the board and the community is in a good place. We did receive a number of budget questions today, so Mike and his staff will continue to work on those, and as is our practice, those will be added to the document that is publicly posted in board docs under FY25 budget questions. Again, as a point of efficiency, an opportunity to really allow Mike to dig in deep. We take those questions, we prepare a document with the questions asked by the board member, responses from administration, and then we post that publicly. Questions we received today will be added to the end of the budget questions that are currently posted, and we'll do that as soon as we are able to get the answers to those questions. Mike, I don't know if you have any additional information to share, and then we will open it up for discussion or questions from the board.
Questions from the board? Charles?
I did send this question in. There was a reduction in the budget, the state revenue budget, specifically as it pertained to early childhood education. I think I might know the answer to this, but I wanted to understand what was driving the reduction. I thought it was something about a grant that we didn't renew year over year, but if that's not accurate, please correct me.
No, that is the main driver of the state change. That particular grant will not be, is not available for us for the next year because of the changes in the program. And some other state line items changed minorly. Overall, it's pretty flat on a year-over-year basis at the state.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from the board? Donna?
Thank you. I sent my questions ahead as well. Are those, the ones that we sent, are they going to be in the document for the next meeting? Yes.
They
okay.
will, yes.
Okay, so I guess I'll ask the questions I sent last meeting and let you put the ones I asked for this meeting into the document, and I'll just be a week behind on my asking, if that's okay. So from my questions last time, I asked specifically in the beginning of the budget, we note that we have about a 5% increase in our budget, and I understand that the majority of that is coming from salaries, which is our biggest expense. But could we specify, and you don't have to answer this now, if you want to just put this in the questions, that'd be great. Can we specify more of the cost of the items at the beginning of the budget of the additional expenses that were in the presentation piece? So, for instance, hold on. We have like the new initiatives. Let me find what page. I'm sorry, this was my question last time. So other budget initiatives like the high school art iPads, the Magic School AI, the safety platform, like those items?
Yeah, that was a question that was submitted.
Last time.
Oh, I saw that question today.
Oh, okay.
I don't recall that being
Okay.
submitted last time. It was submitted today, so that answer, I was working on that
Okay, that's fine
today.
then.
It'll be available at the next
Okay,
meeting.
no worries, that's fine. We have lots of time on this. And then I did ask about the technical theater directors. You answered those questions, and I asked about that last week as well. I think those were my questions from last time, and then I'll ask next time. Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Amanda?
I did not submit this in advance, but I was curious based off of Charles's question, going back to the early childhood education, because I did notice that that was one area we had a reduction in force, for staff members. Is that budget related or is it actual enrollment related?
No, I believe it's related to that specifically. Changing the preschool for all program, those things are related, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is that something that we could possibly get back in the future, or is that like something that's going away forever?
I'm not sure Ms.
Zagis, do you want to briefly address that one?
Sure. So we were using classrooms at satellite schools for those 4 rooms, and now we're going to use them for something else since that program isn't continuing. So, you know, there is obviously always an opportunity for us to relook at our programming and see what's working, but as of right now, we don't have a plan to add those 4 classrooms back.
Thank you. I'm in the early childhood field, so I was just kind of curious how that was impacting our things. And I haven't had a chance to be a board liaison for Ann Reed yet. Just putting that out there. Maybe I'd like to. So, okay, thanks.
Kristen, did you have a question?
Oh, I was just going to say, I wanted to echo Dan's appreciation for the Citizen Finance Advisors meeting. I think that we had a very positive dialogue, and many of the things that we talked about were directly responsive to the feedback from the previous time. So I think it was something where I think that the Citizen Finance Advisors really felt like their feedback was listened to, because we were exactly at the point where where they had recommended we would be. So I appreciate that time that group puts in, and I know Charles is our other liaison who was there at the previous meeting, so thank you to Charles as well. I also just want to say, I think this process of including the budget questions in the document is really helpful. So I did send quite a few questions, but I don't think you have them ready yet, but I think I really appreciate the board's efforts to send those questions. I think it's a really transparent way to show the articulation of all the, various areas within the budget, so thank you. I won't ask the ones I sent because I know you haven't had time to fill them, but I appreciate your efforts to do that.
Other questions from the board? Melissa?
This is actually a follow-up. So what's happening for the students that were being serviced in those 4 rooms?
Those classrooms were for students who are currently 4. They're all transitioning to kindergarten. So they were actually identified as students who were potentially at risk of academic failure for a variety of reasons. And so those students will now be supported at Ann Reed, students who may qualify for them.
And so what would be the difference that you lost the funding or the grant, you didn't qualify?
You were not pursuing the grant any further.
Why?
Because we're not running that program anymore. So instead, we are running the program within Ann Reed. We're going to absorb those students in the PFA program.
Okay. Was the only difference that they had to have individual rooms, or was there?
It was an extended day, so it was a longer day for students. It added lunch and recess and nap time.
For the students that were at risk? So they'll get less services, or no?
They'll get the same amount of instructional minutes.
But they won't get the other?
That's correct. They won't have nap time at school.
They won't have nap time, extended
Lunch
day,
or
lunch.
recess.
Have you had any feedback from parents as far as, I know one of the issues is if these kids need these services and they're at risk, and when we invest in young kids, we get much more back from it. My understanding was that one of the big benefits of having the longer school day and having the meals and having the nap is that it allowed these parents to work, essentially not find childcare too. Have you heard? I guess I'm concerned about that as far as who we're servicing, and will those kids then be more at risk?
Yeah, we haven't found that to be true based on our students who go to the half-day program now. We do collaborate with a lot of agencies in the area to find childcare, and we've not had any parent complaints about the change in our program.
But there are different group of students identified, correct? So you're not comparing apples to apples. Like the students that do a half day aren't the same group that were in this other program as far as maybe their needs or why they were identified.
That's a complex question for me to answer because every student is very different, but there are students with more needs who are serviced even at Ann Reed than students who are serviced in the satellite classrooms, if that's what you're asking.
Is there any way to see, are we going to be collecting any data or anything to see how this actually pans out for these students?
Yes, we always collect data on their performance, so we'll continue to look at that.
Will we continue to look at these individual students to see whether this move was beneficial or not?
Which individual students are you asking me about?
I'm talking about the students, the Preschool for All students.
Preschool for All is a program at Ann Reed, and that will continue.
Okay, what was the classrooms, the
The-
grant
The
then?
preschool for all expansion, like the extended day program. So there are no students that were slated for that program next year.
But is there any way, so no students were slated for it? They didn't qualify?
Correct, because those students all qualify for preschool for all, and that program is continuing.
Okay.
I'll just remind the board, I shared this information with you, I think, a few months ago, that we were proceeding down this line. We did use data to inform us on our decision-making and feel very comfortable that our program at Ann Reed will serve the needs of the students.
All right, Dan, if I could get that data or anything you have from that, I'd appreciate that.
I will reshare with you what I already shared previously with the board.
All right, well, one of the problems is every time we have a meeting and I ask for information and
Melissa,
you said it'll be shared, it's not.
Melissa, we did receive that information as a board. We did receive it as a group. Donna?
So thank you for your report. The students in the satellite classroom are now going to be, that's like, I mean, they were at other elementary schools, right? There were two different elementaries, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they're going to be back at Ann Reed, which with all of the not them back, but I'm saying there won't be those classrooms. Those students who would have been in those classrooms are going to be at Ann Reed with all the students of their same age then,
And access to age-level materials,
Right,
access to all
right.
the staffing at Ann Reed, and we'll have less of an equity issue.
Right, and so I'm super excited that we have them all in one building, and I think that we can serve them better doing that, so thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Kristen?
No, I do recall the discussion that we had with regard to this situation, and I also understand that the data was clearly showing that our students at Ann Reed were achieving equally or greater to the additional students, and so the extra time wasn't serving. Is that correct?
That's correct. Not just the time, we were asking students who are very young to transition 3 years in a row, 1 year at Ann Reed, then one of the satellite schools, and then to their kindergarten site. So multiple transitions, we think also was just not a good practice for young children.
So thank you for continuing to evaluate the data that you were seeing in terms of the performances and the social and emotional impact of the programs and bringing us this recommendation so that we're able to serve them in the adequate space.
Other questions from the board? Melissa?
The only thing so you're saying those transitions aren't good for the kids to be able to stay in a longer program?
We know research says transitions are not great for children. It's good to have consistency among staffing, et cetera. And so they were transitioning to new teachers, new speech pathologists, new social workers 3 years in a row. And our data showed many of those students were not staying in our district. They were moving out. And so one hypothesis to that is potentially they weren't feeling a connection. And so we want to make sure that we're building that connection to our school community so they remain here.
Yeah, we might want to look at that research again, because I think when you add the stability of being able to be in that classroom and the parents not having to find, now these parents, they have to transition to another facility for after-school care. So I think that there's much more to that picture.
Yeah, I just want to also be clear, the full day ended at 1:15, and so they were still transitioning to childcare after that time.
Thanks. We'll continue to send our questions regarding the budget. Thanks for the clarifications, too, on some of the changes. Item 10, discussion with action, 10.01, the 2024-2025 board meeting schedule.
Okay, 2 previous board meetings, you've had an opportunity to review this, and I think we're ready for action. So I recommend you approve the 2024-2025 board meeting schedule, approved as presented. I will note the caveat that was brought up last time about looking at the January 1st meeting in January potentially as one again that we would eliminate, but we'll have it on there as a placeholder.
Any questions from the board? Okay, I will take a motion for item 10.01.
I move approval of item 10.01, 2024-2025 board meeting schedule as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second have been heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Cush.
Aye.
Macmillan.
Aye.
Kelly Black.
Aye.
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Kosminski.
Aye.
Gerke.
Aye.
Wanke.
Aye.
The motion passes. Item 10.02, the second reading, policy 7180, preventing bullying, intimidation, and harassment.
I'll provide just a brief update for item 10.02 and 10.03 together. They kind of work together through the same group of parent, student, and staff advisory. But annually, we review these two policies as well as others that we're still working on and take input from the panel or the advisory group on recommended changes. We also run those through legal counsel on those potential changes and their alignment with press. So Dr. Holland, any new information on 10.02 policy 7180? Recommend you approve it as presented. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions from the board? Amanda?
A comment. I just want to commend Dr. Holland and your team, because I was part of this committee a couple years ago, and just to see the progress and the thoughtfulness and the engagement of the students and how much better it is. I just want to thank you so much on your leadership on that, and I can definitely recognize the work. So I just want to thank you so much, and I, wanted to say that. So thank you.
Donna?
So I mentioned this ahead of time, and then I sent a question ahead of time, but this is not something that we discussed in the last meeting, and I know this is up for action, but I don't mean to thwart that, but I have some concerns with some articles that I've read, in addition to just what I'm hearing from the state legislation. AI-generated deep fakes are plaguing school districts where students are using AI to create nude photos of teachers and other students and distributing those. And I find that from what I'm reading and what I'm hearing, it's really difficult for schools to address that because they're fake photos. And so they're not necessarily being caught by mandated reporting. They're not necessarily being caught by or falling into even cyberbullying because they're not real. And so it's kind of an item that's slipping through the cracks and being difficult to discipline. And so I'd like to see, it's a form of cyberbullying. It's a form of sexual harassment, honestly, but at least a form of cyberbullying. And I'd like to see us address that in our policy.
Okay, I'm wondering if I can recommend we approve it as it's presented, with the caveat that we will work on that. We know policy 7190 and a couple others are going to have to back to the board after July 1st due to some personnel changes in the language required about who the reporters are, and we can bring it back at that time if we can create anything. I'd like to get some language, but I'll leave it to the board. I mean, we're comfortable right now with it as is. I respect your concern, and I hear that. And I wonder if indirectly, Shayla, you think it's already tied in here. Yeah.
So in policy 7190, number 22 speaks of the use of an electronic device and what's permissible, how you're supposed to use it, what's permissible and what's not permissible. And it does have language in there that speaks to the creation of images or the likeness of other students using technology. So that's something, there's a line of codes that actually speaks to the use of an electronic device. We also have our acceptable use policy in place as well. So I do want to note that there is language currently in our student behavior policy that directly connects with the creation of those images. It may not be specific enough, but something to consider.
Also on 7180 on page 2, under cyberbullying, it does talk about the creation and exchange of images and things created on the internet. So it might help cover us.
Okay, so I saw what you were reading. I'm sorry, Dr. Holland. You said it was in 22 of the next policy, correct? Is that what you were reading from? I just want to make sure I had that right.
71. I was reading from 7190. Allison mentioned 7180.
I know, but from 7190, we're looking at number 22, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me address that first, because so on that, I understand what you're saying, but again, I don't think, as I'm reading that, I'm not sure how we're covering AI-generated fake images. Like, it covers photography, but of photos, but am I missing it? Or, I mean, I'm just looking at it now again because I didn't.
It says creating. so it would be
Creating
if you are
prohibited
creating
conduct
it.
includes, without limitation, creating, sending, sharing, viewing, receiving, or possessing an indecent visual depiction of oneself or another person.
Okay. All right, I guess and I respect what you're saying, Dr. Bridges, about, or, I mean.
Thank
Dan,
you.
about- Yeah, sorry. About moving forward. I guess I'd like to see us specifically talk about AI-generated fake photos, because I feel like from what other school districts are experiencing across the country, they're having a hard time with the discipline because it's not specifically said. And so what happens is students and families are challenging that and not being able to follow through from the school district level to be able to make sure that we're catching those things and falling under the correct discipline. Now, you just said it was in the policy that I was supposed to be looking at too. I didn't, where were you looking at that? I'm sorry.
I was looking at page 2 of 7180 under cyberbullying.
Yeah, and I read that pretty closely. Do you, again, are we looking at like AI generated, like fake photos that, you feel like that's addressed in there?
I think under the creation
Okay.
and the distribution by electronic means.
Yes.
Communication
What I can tell you right now under the current policy is if a student did something like that, our policy is clear enough that we could discipline the student for that.
I know that even though it doesn't say AI specifically, there are other programs without AI that students
Right.
have done this before, so that's why it's kind of more broad.
And do we have a mandated reporting associated with that if that were to happen? Because the problem is that from what I've heard is that it's not being reported because it's fake. So it doesn't fall into the mandated reporting, and that's the part that I'm concerned about as well.
Well, again, it would depend on who generated it. The mandated reporter stuff is about a suspected abuse and neglect of children. And so child to child, likely not reported under a mandated reporting issue, which is typically what happens. Now, there could potentially be legal ramifications.
It also could be under the bullying investigation and process that we currently have if it was student to student, or if a staff member became aware of it, which often there's talk or other things that happen at school, and it comes down to what the root issue was, and it starts with something on social media like an exchange of a picture or image. That would still be handled in the same manner, regardless if it was real or created.
Okay. You said these are coming back when, Dan?
Say that again.
You said these are coming back to us
I'm not
when?
exactly sure when, but after July 1st, when we have some changes in personnel, just the names is all we were going to change.
Okay. All right. We may be forced to do that legislatively too, so I just want you to be aware. But okay, I can wait a few months and go forward with all the work that's been done on this. I didn't mean to throw, like I said, something extra at us. It's just something that's super timely and super critical that we make sure we have covered. Thank you.
Other questions from the board? I will take a motion for item 10.02.
I move approval of item 10.02, second reading policy 7180, preventing bullying, intimidation, and harassment as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second been heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Kosminski.
Aye.
Kush.
Aye.
Wanke.
Aye.
McMillan.
Aye.
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Kelly Black.
Aye.
Gerke.
Aye. The motion passes. Item 10.03, second reading, policy 7190, student discipline.
Dr. Holland, anything new to share on this? Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the board? Kristen?
I did send this question ahead, but I noted that you do have the press version of it. And my question had been, like, what do you think of the press version compared to ours? I mean, like, I just noticed that when you mentioned 22, there's no 22 here. So, like, it does seem like ours is more expansive and has some stuff that perhaps is not included in this 21. I did survey a couple of our other districts around us. They all use the press policy. So I was just kind of wondering, you know, overall globally, what you thought of it.
As you know, our policies have shifted over time based off of conversations and requested additions. I do know that all of our codes listed, all of the numbers are also embedded in our student information systems. We have a whole tracking process for when student engages in misconduct, how we track that data and that information. We report on it. It also is connected to the documentation. So I'm just naming that our systems are currently set up in alignment with how our policies are written so that we are enforcing it and also keeping track of the data associated with it. I do think that it's helpful to be explicit in the manner that we currently are, but it's interesting to look at press that has less information. It leaves a little more open for interpretation as well if it's not explicitly stated.
I would add to that I do think, I like our policy because I also like our process that's been in place for a while and the input that we get. I would just again say the caution that we have to keep in mind is the more we customize the policy, the more likely of an opportunity to miss something or a cross-reference get mixed up. I would prefer that we stay with the policy in our process that we typically do, because I think it's been a point of pride actually for the board that it's reviewed policy 7190 the way that it has and the evolution that it has made over time.
And it sounds like our systems are all set up to support it with the specificity that it has.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Okay, I will take a motion for item 10.03.
I'll make a motion to approve item 10.03, second reading policy 7.190, student discipline.
Second.
A motion and a second have been heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Wanke?
Aye.
Gerke?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
McMillan?
Aye.
Kush?
Aye.
Kosminski?
Aye.
Kelly Black?
Aye.
The motion passes. Item 10.04, the second reading, policy 5100, staff development program.
Okay, we did present this to the board at its last meeting and recommend that you approve it as noted. Question was asked then and submitted for this meeting regarding the press-forced option of answering no or yes, the default being no, and that's our recommendation. If you select yes, it adds another paragraph of language in there regarding CPR, use of AED machine, or other life-saving statutes. So I did follow up with our council as was requested, and the district is in compliance with Illinois statutory and regulatory requirements. They would not recommend that the district adopt the optional press language requiring training in these areas be provided to all interested staff, as such language would extend well beyond the current statutory and regulatory requirements. So I agree with that position. Quite honestly, then, to make it available to all staff would be fairly burdensome in terms of actually pulling off the training. And then I think the cost we looked at was well over $100,000 per year for that. So we recommend you adopt it as presented, and we'll continue to provide the CPR and other training to those that are in positions that would require it.
Donna?
So I understand if we were providing like a CPR certification for each employee, that would be excessively burdensome. But is some of this or any of this available on an online platform that we use for some of our other staff development?
I am not sure. Anybody, Jane, Global Compliance, Lisa, anybody? I don't believe so. And I think CPR actually requires.
Yeah, I think like basic first aid, but not necessarily CPR. I mean, they're.
Okay, and like I said, I understand that we're not doing necessarily certification here, but the beginning of this optional paragraph where it says an opportunity shall be provided for all staff members to acquire, it just makes me feel like I think that we should be able to do that for our staff. Even if it's not a certification, if it's more of a informative
piece.
Yeah, my question actually is like the maybe fourth or fifth line down. It says, in accordance with a nationally recognized certifying organization as well.
Right.
And so I don't know that we could choose to do something a little bit differently. I think it would have to be something that is nationally recognized.
Right. And again, just kind of interpreting the, my conversation with the attorney and then the opinion, taking that language essentially implies that we would provide it for all staff under those conditions. And again, the ability to be able to do that, the time to be able to do that, and the cost really makes it very prohibitive.
I think one
That's not an
positive thing.
evaluatory comment of the training itself, so.
Yeah, we believe we have between 400 and 500 staff who we have certified.
Yeah, because all of our coaches and
It's all health office staff,
Right.
coaches, PE teachers, like administrators, anyone who takes students away from the school on a trip of some kind. So yeah, all of them are certified.
Yep, okay. All right, I guess as I read with the nationally recognized certified, thank you for pointing that out, recognized certifying organization. I would like us to see if there's something I mean, I know we have a lot of things available on that online platform. Even if we don't check this box, I'd like to see if we have something available beyond the first aid, just to go through the, because CPR changes, like I get certified every 2 years and it changes every 2 years, so it'd be wonderful if our staff was aware, like breaths are not that important anymore. It's just that, it's the, the chest compressions that are important because the breathing kind of comes with that. So like knowing that I think would be really important for our staff if we could just see if that's available on that online platform that we have a lot of optional things on.
Yeah, and we actually have explored that even through Edwards. There are 2 different versions, one that has the full like mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and one that
Right.
is just chest compressions, and so we've looked at that. We do offer the opportunity to be certified for extracurricular staff, sponsors,
Right.
and even beyond that, like any educators that might have a student in their classroom that they think that would help them. Any staff in that building, we allow
Okay.
them to be trained. So we
Okay.
do expand beyond what is required already. But we can explore what our online training offers.
So if I was an educator in a classroom and I wasn't a coach, could I still request to be able to be trained in this if I felt a need or a?
Yeah, we have some students that we want to make sure are surrounded by staff who are fully trained, and so
Right.
in those cases, we offer all of those staff who might interact with that student, or a staff member, for
Right.
example. And so, if someone feels as though they need that training to do their job, they absolutely can request it.
Okay, that makes me feel better then. Thank you. Thank you
Melissa?
for following up with our legal too.
Melissa?
I'm just going to throw out there, I've been lucky enough to be involved in some things with our fire department and our police department and the CAPS, the community group. They've offered, this might be something, they've talked about wanting to, maybe partner with us more. So this might be an opportunity to explore some of those groups. That might be a way to get that certification. It might work for all parties. We might want to reach out to our community partners.
I think that's a great idea, and I just want to be clear, we're not opposed to training more people in how to do CPR. We like that idea. I think just the administrative kind of tying our hands, but I like the idea, and we'll reach out to them. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, I will take a motion for item 10.04.
Motion to approve item 10.04, second reading, policy 5.1, staff development program.
Yes, second.
A motion and a second have been heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
McMillan.
Aye.
Gerke.
Aye.
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Kelly Black.
Aye.
Wanke.
Aye.
Kush.
Aye.
Kosminski.
Aye.
The motion passes. Item 10.05, board member attendance at conferences.
Okay, following discussion by the board back in April regarding putting a procedure in place, we've gone through a first draft last time based on board conversation and just some errors that were made. I've updated it, and you'll see that there is strike through, and there's also the red font represents what has been added, I believe, based off of board conversation at the last meeting. So again, this would be a procedure for the board themselves. So happy to hear discussion and feedback regarding any changes you'd like, but I think it captures it, so I'd recommend you approve it.
Questions from the board? Melissa?
I just want to thank you. I appreciate the changes that were made and that, we expanded, the availability of the board to have educational opportunities. So thank you.
Other questions from the board? Kristen? Go ahead.
Did we check in? I'm sorry, I did send this ahead, and you may have determined the answer. Are we able to attend for NSBA? Is it a significant cost difference? Or?
You are able to attend.
That's what I thought.
Mrs. Patton's had a difficult time really getting a very clear answer on the cost.
Okay.
But we estimate it, best estimate to be, what is it, about $950 to $1,000 per individual for conference registration.
Okay.
And I don't know, so I don't know how that compares to a member, but we think it's more, right? Quite a bit more, okay.
Okay.
Other questions from the board? Okay, I will take a motion to approve item 10.05.
I move to approve item 10.05, board member attendance at conferences as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second have been heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Kuzminski,
Aye.
Kelly Black,
Aye.
McMillan,
Aye.
Wanke,
Aye.
Gerke,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Cush.
Aye.
The motion passes. Item 10.06, establish the date for public hearing regarding the intent to effect interfund transfers.
Okay, as a part of the recently approved capital projects and upcoming amended 24 budget, we're going to need to hold a public hearing in regard to the interfund transfers. We recommend that this is according to Illinois statute. We recommend that the Board of Education establish the public hearing date for the interfund transfers as presented. Mike, anything you need to add?
Questions from the board? Okay, I will take a motion for item 10.06.
I move approval of item 10.06, establish date for public hearing regarding the intent to effect interfund transfers as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second have been heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
McMillan,
Aye.
Kuzminski,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Cush,
Aye.
Gerke,
Aye.
Kelly Black,
Aye.
Wanke.
Aye.
The motion passes. Item 11, old business. We do not have any old business. Item 12, new business. We do not have any new business. Item 13, upcoming events, the schedule of events.
Okay, so the next Board of Education meeting will be back at the Public School Administration Center on June 3rd at 7 p.m. Now that you've approved meeting schedule for next year, we'll begin to update that as well. The last day of school for our students is Thursday, May 23rd.
Okay, item 14, adjournment. I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second have been heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Cush,
Aye.
Kelly Black,
Aye.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Wanke,
Aye.
Kuzminski,
Aye.
McMillan,
Aye.
Gerke.
Aye. The motion passes. We are adjourned. Good night.